Hey everyone, welcome to another midweek update. Now that we're past Lent and Easter, you're probably wondering, what will they do?
Mm.
Um, we do want to share a few kind of upcoming headlines, and then we would talk a little bit about some things that we are experiencing together. Just a little pause and reflect time together. So the first thing I want to mention headline-wise is just remind you to come to church this Sunday. Even though Easter Sunday was, a high point, feel free to come back to worship the first Sunday after Easter. And we will have some moments of special recognition for Jan Foz and for her work as church administrator. And that will include a little bit of recognition during worship and then also a reception during the fellowship time. So we hope you can join in that.
I wanted to share about an event then the following Thursday that hopefully you have seen. If you haven't, or if you have, I'll give a little shape to that. And that is that David Radcliffe with New Community Project is coming to speak. Witness Commission is hosting a time together that he has named Around the World in 60 Minutes. And so he's going to share about some different touch points of where New Community Project has been. Some of you have been on those trips. I know Kurt and Lena have just recently been to Ecuador, but a number of people have been on some of those different trips. You can find out more information about that and just share a little bit in time. There'll be some Q&A at the end. There'll be some light refreshments. So that's at 6:30. We'll try to be wrapped up by 8 o'clock unless folks have some lingering questions. But just in terms of all ages are welcome to be part of that event. That's this coming, not this Thursday, not tomorrow, but the following Thursday, the 20th.
The pause and reflect piece is just to take a moment to recognize that we've been through kind of a hard stretch here. You'll notice that for the last 4 weeks, every Sunday we have a memorial candle on the communion table. Carol Streeter died earlier in the year, but in the last 4 weeks, Al Hull, Charles Klingler, Helene Snyder, Liz Hoffman-Bauer, and then yesterday, Jean Valentine died, and that all-church email went out this morning with information that his service is going to be Saturday at Timbercrest Chapel at 1:30. But just, now that's five weeks in a row where we've lost somebody who's part of our community. And one of the things that Amy and I are aware of is that, we hardly catch our breath from 1 week to the next, it feels like in times like that. And we assume then that, for all of you, it's not quite the same because you might not be close to or have been close to all those people, but the ripples of grief and impact and remembering, and it just runs through the congregation. So I don't know, just to pause and reflect on the impact to the community. I sometimes say at the beginning of memorial services or when we're out in the memorial garden for an interment or other times that, when somebody dies, the world changes, and it changes more for the people who are closest, but the world changes. There's something that's changed in the world, and our world keeps changing. So just wanted to acknowledge that and reflect on it a little bit. Amy, do you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I think often about how COVID brought a different way of corporate grieving to us, a deferred grieving. And there is something about gathering together in a focused way just days after we lose someone, where it's acute in all of us and we share and we acknowledge and it goes deep. When in these days, and it's a fine way to do it. We defer so that we can make sure that everyone can travel in as best possible. We get this momentum of not gathering in that moment, that as I said, acute, that close in the moment corporate grief, community grief, the relational grief of all of us together. And then perhaps you, like I, have found moments where you stop and say, oh yes, this person is gone. So when you find yourselves in those moments, before we get to a memorial service, just pause and reflect, as Kurt has brought those words to us today, and just hold that person inside of you and share with somebody else so that we are grieving together.
Yeah, the grieving together is important. And when things feel like they're moving so quickly, there's almost not space and time for that. They're moving so quickly, 5 deaths in 5 weeks. And at the same time, like you said, Amy, they're not moving quickly because memorial services, we have a couple coming up early in May, we have a couple coming up late in May, and it just stretches things out. So it's this strange, time has taken on this strange feeling. And it does anyway when you're standing on the threshold of this world and the next, but even more so, I think now. And it's a reminder that we are fragile beings, and we have some people who are especially fragile. And things can happen, and can happen quickly. One of the things that we as pastors are working on, especially as we anticipate my transition out of the pastoral role in the congregation, is bringing Seth more actively into the awareness of the pastoral care piece. So we're working on that, and in terms of communication and sharing what's going on and sharing those feelings with each other. That's not been as much of a focus, but there are 3 pastors in this congregation, 3 pastors that hold and care for the spiritual life and the emotional life of the congregation. Do you have anything you wanted to say, Seth?
No, I'm just grateful for both of you as you've walked alongside these folks in our community, as well as the congregation, for how they care for one another in these times. Seems like we just have these sort of different waves that happen since I've been here, and appreciative at this time to pause and reflect a bit.
Well, we look forward to this Sunday and being together. Easter was, we had a wonderful day together, and maybe we can ride some of that good energy into the season of Easter.